Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again on this Monday to What It Takes Radio. And we continue with our programming on the Days of Awe, from New Year to Yom Kippur. May I suggest that one of our pleas, maybe one of our prayers during these Days of Awe, is a simple prayer, simple wish, simple affirmation, simple request. Deliver us from evil. Greetings once again, ladies and gentlemen, for the 10-7 day. This is the 10th month, that's October, and the 7th day. And as many of you already know, this is a commemoration of the event that took place exactly 1 year ago today, and that is when the Hamas terrorists invaded the nation of Israel, and over 1,200 of them were killed, many of them horrifically, terribly, brutally. And a number of them were taken hostage, and they remain hostage to this day. Not only people from Israel, but also people from the United States. And there have been a number of things that have happened in the meantime, but we now have a war of all things where, in effect, the hope always was during the Days of Awe that the Jewish people would be like all of us, taking a time out after the new year, whenever we celebrate that, and be thinking of ways that we can live at peace and be able to have a better and create a more livable world for our family and our friends and for our community. That's what we should be about. But it is not to be. Well, there has been a lot of dying, certainly on both sides. And there are cries for a ceasefire, but that's not going to happen. And what it seems is that, in effect, Israel has decided that they must win this war, not just end this war. They must end this war by winning this war. And that is to make sure that the terrorists, particularly Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthi rebels, must be crushed, and that the nation of Iran needs to be crippled, maybe significantly, sufficiently so that they are no longer a threat to Israel. And they seem like they're willing to pay the price to make that happen. So that's the world we live in today. Not very awe or awesome, but certainly very awful. There we go. The story of our lives, oftentimes the story of our situations. I waited to do this at the end of the day. I wanted to see what might happen. And it appears that for the most part, that the demonstrations, which are many in many cases in terms of the anti-Israeli or the anti-Israel or anti-Zionist movement, as they would call it, have been relatively so far peaceful, but they're pretty determined. And it seems that the situation will, at least for today, not be terribly harmful or hurtful, except for what it might mean. So that's where I leave the day, where we're at right now. And of course, this will also lead to some issues in the politics, particularly here in the United States. It certainly seems that there are always issues within the world political scheme whenever these conflicts take place. I think the thing that we always seek to do is not necessarily ask the question, what's in it for us? But we always need to ask the question, at least, what do I learn from all this? What do I need to be clear about? What do I need to have confidence in? What do I need to push out? Are there things I need to condemn or put away? How do I need to affirm myself in such a way that I have greater courage and I do greater good in the world? How do we make that happen? One of the things that I am doing, it's a little exploration of a book. One of the things I remember saying to one of my business performance coaching colleagues, and we were talking about a certain experience that one of our clients was going through, and it was really tough the way he and she together were being treated. And I just simply talked to them and said, sometimes you have to understand that there are bad people, for sure. There are people who do bad things. But you know what? Sometimes you're going to run into people who are just plain evil. And he said, you really believe that could be? And I said, I've come to believe that could be. There are people who have been either addicted to, persuaded, maybe in some way brought to the point of whatever, where heart, mind, and soul have hardened, and they are willing to do almost anything, and they are willing to do terrible things. Obviously, if you can cut off a baby's head, if you can fry them in an oven, if you can rape a young girl, something has happened to you, and it's certainly not good. Ernest Becker wrote a book many years ago, which was a bestseller, and it influenced many people. He was a Jewish philosopher. He didn't live very long. He accomplished a great deal, about 50 years of age when he died. I wrote a book called The Denial of Death, and I read it many times. In fact, there are people who actually say to me that they go and read Denial of Death just as a reminder quite often. And what he pointed out is that most of us are in a world of human beings, and what we fear is insignificance. We fear that we don't matter, that we're small, that we don't matter, we're insignificant. And so what people are doing, they're struggling to be significant, and that can lead to some very fine and high aspirations, but it could also lead to some very, very bad and maybe even evil provocations. He didn't finish this book. In fact, it's pointed out that he had written it along, his wife helping, and then he passed away before the book was done. But then using her knowledge and notes, a group of people put it together, and it became a bestseller. It's not a new book. It goes back a number of years. And let me just make sure I can see it here. It kind of glares in the camera light. Escape from evil. Escape from evil. And what he's trying to do is to help people understand where the source of evil might be. And that might surprise us. That really might scare us to find out, what things that come to us might actually lead us to some things that are evil. Yes, indeed. What could there be inside of us? Obviously, I don't even remember. It was long, a time ago, but since I'm a fan of radio and the old time radio stories, the famous program of the 1930s, The Shadow Knows, a radio drama, and the question was, what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Well, that's not a very popular thing to think about. We don't really want to think that, maybe they're mentally ill, or they're sick, or they're sociopathic maybe, but they're evil. In fact, there's some interpretation that says, that Lord's Prayer, which we say, many of us, deliver us from evil. That's a prayer that Jesus taught. Well, what do you mean by that? Some people think it means deliver us from the evil one, or deliver us from the evil ones. Could that be the interpretation of it? Well, I don't know. And all I'm simply saying and affirming that we are facing some things that are profoundly evil. And we have to recognize that. It happens. And in some cases, as someone has pointed out, oftentimes, evil has to be not only defeated. He said, we not only, defeated the Nazis, we had to crush them. we had to eliminate them. Now, that didn't mean we had to crush all of Germany. We had to, crush all the people there. But the whole idea of Nazis, and they did great evil. And people spent years chasing the evil ones down and trying to bring justice to them. In fact, one of the great heroic stories of the people of Israel is that the guy who was most responsible fled the proverbial south in Argentina, and they hunted him down and they caught him, and they eventually tried and executed him. Evil has to be crushed. Evil has to be done away with. Well, right now, some people are promoting at least evil ideas and evil thoughts. And whether they should be crushed, I doubt. Whether they should be defeated, at least intellectually, morally, and in some ways, yes. And I do believe that that might happen. And I hope that it will happen. And maybe something better will happen. They will see what they're doing. And again, to use another expression, they will repent of their evil ways. They will see the light. They will come out of darkness. They will be transformed. Or even the religious term, they will be saved from their sins and saved from their self and saved from the evil that is within them. So that would be awesome. And so on this Days of Awe, particularly right in the middle on this Day of Awe, we will say with emphasis, deliver us from evil. Yes, deliver us from evil. Thank you for joining me in these thoughts. All the best and blessings to you. And as we carry on, we would be glad if we could help you in many ways to figure out how you can live and be a transformed person, that you could actually use these days of awe the way a good new year is to be used, and that is that it will be used to fashion yourself, maybe your soul, your very being, into something, as one of my old favorite songs says, you make me feel brand new. We would indeed be brand new. That would be a nice thing to be. Maybe it can happen for you and me. Best and blessings. Till next time on Days of Awe, I'm Stan Houston. Bye for now.